A tunnel to a place of magic. Oh dear, that is so cheesy. Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Planet Coaster 2 and to our brand new park. We are going to be making Rio de Janeiro Disney Resort, or Rio Disney Resort for short. Going to start in this episode, going to tell you a little bit of the idea that I sort of had, and we're going to be working on the entrance road mainly in this episode, which we can see now. We're going to lay down some asphalt, try a few things out here just to see what works, trying to capture a sort of realistic type of roadway. It's a reasonably new park, so that means I've adjusted the roadway as such. There's going to be some slight bumps and dents in there just to do wear and tear, but obviously not too much sun damage. We'll put in a little bit here and there. Just adding in some buses now to make sure that we can get the scale right, because the idea is that this park is in a secluded sort of area, surrounded by hills and mountains. There's loads, of course, in Rio de Janeiro, and therefore Disney has decided to build their park here. It's a plot of land that was left free, and it's just in sort of this untouched valley. So in order to get there, you have to go through this tunnel, which solves a great problem in Planet Coaster, in the fact that we don't, of course, have the actual real city of Rio de Janeiro in the background. Extending this roadway, very simple. We're going to get rid of some of the lines here in a minute, just to keep it flowing quite nicely. But of course, we need to make sure that everything fits and everything is reasonably to scale. As it is, dual carriageway here. We're expecting a lot of traffic, and that's going to split off into various different points as well, as we put it underneath the terrain and into the what will become the tunnel. So essentially the idea is, if you go through this tunnel, on the other side is the city of Rio de Janeiro, and like I said, this is a sort of secluded valley in which the resort is. Going to come in here by a straight line. I'm trying to hug the edges really, because we do need a lot of space for the resort. This map isn't the biggest one, so trying to make use of it as much as we can. And this is really going to be a transition area between normal Rio de Janeiro, normal Brazil, and the resort itself. I have a couple of advertisement boards on the side, which is going to show off the park. Initially, going to use some of the concept art I created for the various different lands, but later on we will use some screenshots and really finish this up. This road is this dual carriageway is going to end up in a roundabout. Like I said, with my Planet Zoo series, I like focusing on realism. Same goes for Rio Disney. In this case, we are going to make everything for the staff as well, and this is where this roundabout starts that process. So if you have multiple different entrances and exits onto this roundabout, if we have a look at this, if you go straight ahead, you will head straight for the hotel, and the car parking space. You will go dip underneath the hotel is the idea I have in my mind, with like this tunnel, and you will be going underneath this grand building, which we are yet to design. We will do that in the next episode, and from there you will enter the parking side. There's going to be a bypass there as well, just to help the flow of traffic a little bit, because obviously in the morning here we can see it. We're going to start working on that bypass. The bypass is basically to help that flow of traffic that doesn't need to go over the roundabout and can go around. It will split off into the hotel entrance area as well. If you go left on this roundabout, you will see at the very end of the episode, you will go behind the berm, and that's where the staff car park entrance will be. Where this staff car park is going to be exactly, I don't know yet. I might take inspiration there from Disneyland Resort Paris, where you drive all the way around, and it's connected to the northern side of the main car park, slightly out of view, if I do recall. It's been a while since I worked for Disney, but especially in Paris, it's been a while. However, back when I was there, that's exactly how the layout was. So just making sure that it all sort of looks good. Now, the idea behind Rio de Janeiro is a combination park. We've got two parks that we're going to make. We're going to make an aquatic park, staying in with the Planet Coaster 2 theme. I love aquatic parks. Back in Roller Coaster Tycoon days, I absolutely adored making aqua parks. I think they are fantastic, and I think they work so well in the Brazilian setting here. Obviously, quite a hot and humid place. And then we're going to have the main park. Both parks are going to be inspired by various different Disney films, things. Classic Disney, like we're going to have a nice, beautiful castle in the middle. Obviously, we're going to have different lands, but they aren't going to be the traditional Frontierland, Adventureland, Fantasyland, Discoveryland, etc. No, we are going to give them their own South American flair and we are going to completely make this a very unique park while staying true to classic Disney. Working on the tunnel here a little bit, I wanted to make sure that this looks good. Obviously it's sort of the entrance area, so I wanted to get the shape right, and making tunnels is reasonably tricky. It's not something you do very much, especially road tunnels, and they do have a very particular look, so I just wanted to make sure that this was done correctly and realistically. You know, realism is the focal point of the channel and of this series. So with that said, at the moment we are making the top frame boxes, and they're going to house the air conditioning vents, the pipework, everything like that, the lighting. As we can see here, we're just rescaling it, putting it on the back of a vent system, well, a repurposed air conditioning system. Keep air flowing through these tunnels. Obviously you're going into what is essentially a mountain, and when we do finish this with all rocks and foliage, etc., it actually does look like you're going into quite a big mountain indeed. Twisting that round, putting it to the bottom, we've got an extra air conditioning unit there that's decided to tag along, but we'll get rid of that in a moment, and then we're going to copy and paste this tunnel all the way along. For the rest of the resort, like I mentioned earlier, we're going to have this hotel, going to be a very grand hotel on the outskirts really of the park, and we're going to delve into that in a later episode because I really want to focus on the viewpoints here as well. It's something Disney prides themselves on really very much, and back when we were in the Disney University and we were studying park design and how Disney designs their parks and everything like that, viewpoints was one of the very big things, obviously, that they work on. Something that we're going to be doing a lot here as well in this park. For now, this episode is nice and relaxed, nice and chill. We're just making roads. I love making roads. They're absolutely fantastic. Working on some terrain work here then, trying to get it all right, make sure that it looks like a little bit of a mountain, that you can't oversee it, so that it does sell that immersion of the fact that we are going to the city of Rio de Janeiro on the other side. Finishing off with some rock work, because obviously we can't get the terrain to line up perfectly. We've made quite a complex shape there with the tunnel, but the tunnel itself does look good. We got a little bit of a green band there, just to showcase how high up everything is, and that the tunnel is good visible. Very well visible actually for drivers when it twists and turns. We're going to make a little bit of a visual illusion at the end. We're going to have some buses in here a little bit later and some vehicles just to make it seem a little bit busy, and then we're going to have some black panels at the very end, create that visual illusion that tunnel keeps on going. Some rock work here. We're very basic, simple rock work at the moment. We're going to recolor a few of those in a moment and just move it around, and in the end we're going to add some plants, and it actually looks really rather nice. This is just to create an initial facade. I know that in real life plants don't really like growing that much on rocks. However, this is just to make sure that the terrain looks right, the terrain looks rugged, and that's the look that we're really going for. So the last things about the resort that I haven't really covered on too much is the sort of shopping area, which will be adjacent to the hotel. The hotel will likely be made in a couple of different parts because I want to integrate the whole area, just like how Disney does it so well in real life as well. Everything is integrated, everything has a purpose. So most likely in this series we're going to have a few overlapping episodes. We won't be able to finish everything in one episode simply because it will probably rely on other lands, other bits of the park and the resort in order to make sure that everything ties together. So we're going to have that shopping centre there, and then beyond that will be the car park, and you sort of exit the car park into the shopping area, and that is going to be a grand plaza in front of the main entrance of the park. Right next to the hotel, we've got all the facilities and everything that you need, and then right onto that as well, 90-degree angle from it, is going to be the entrance to the aqua park. Going to have a couple of lands into the park itself. Again, like I said, I really want to do the classic Disney of having the classic elements of the park, having a central hub, the hub and spoke pattern that Disney is so famous for, having the castle in the middle, but it's going to be a completely custom, unique Brazilian style castle. It's going to look fantastic. I can't wait to get that started. We're going to have a main street type thing. I have got a name, but it's in Portuguese. It's quite complex, and I don't speak Portuguese, so I don't want to butcher it too much, but I do want to thank Google Translate and ChatGPT for helping out with making sure that all the names sound very well. We've copied and pasted some foliage here, just that we created earlier to sell the berm. Berms, another thing Disney is famous for, a good berm. They do work really well in park design, just to make sure that things that we don't want to have visible aren't visible, and it's something that we'll keep using throughout the park, especially for the staff areas, Disney does love the berm, and we will, if you watch on Disney Plus, there's some fantastic documentaries about Disney Imagineering and how they designed the parks there as well, and how the attractions go over the berm to really sell all the immersion and to keep everything from the staff separate. Working on some billboards here. We're going for a very classic, just standard highway billboard. We've got some concrete pillars here that we're going to put down, and then we're going to detail it up in the back as well, just to make sure that all the detail work is in fact correct, and that people can in theory access it if they need to do some work. Like I mentioned at the start of this episode, these billboards will, for now at least initially, have some of the concept art that I've created as inspiration for the park and for the various different lands. They're going to have that, but later on as we go along, it will have advertisements for the real lands in that park. So I don't want to give away too much of the lands. That's something that you'll just have to keep watching. There are going to be quite a couple of lands. We are going to be looking at a variety of different movies, films, IP, etc., as much as I can in the fair use terms, and we will see what it comes up with. But we're definitely going to have a Land of the Dead from Coco. I think that is such a phenomenal thing. You'll see that here on one of the posters, and that's an idea that I've really got in my head. And what it is exactly, you will have to subscribe for that. You'll have to see it in a later video when we do start working on the Land of the Dead. But the idea I've got in my head right now is really rather cool, very unique, and something that I wish that they would make. We're going to colour tailor this pillar there. You can see we're using the Chief Beef sign just to make sure that it all lines up quite well before we actually add in the concept art. You can see the framework there on the back just to make it look as realistic as possible, and then we're putting these platforms here into place just to make sure that the workers have access. We've got a little ladder there on the back which will extend all the way to the top, and we're going to copy and paste this right round to the other side, and then eventually to the top as well. Have some health and safety bits in as well, just to make sure that everybody is safe, everybody is sound. There you go, we've got the platforms there at the top, the ladder extends to the top, and we've got a little bit of a fence going as well. Some poles to keep the netting in place at the bottom there. Sort of metal netting is what I've gone for, because I feel like that would be most appropriate to keep everything there intact. We're going to copy and paste them. We're going to have a couple of these dotted around the place. It's quite normal when you drive into Disneyland Paris as well. On the motorway in France, you do see the advertisement boards there for Disneyland Paris. I'm not so sure. I believe when I was in Anaheim, there was a couple of them around as well, but I stayed at the convention center there when they're going to that whole area mainly to do other things than visit the park. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they have a few of those type of signs there as well. But we were going to be using it mainly for showing off some of the lands. Another one of the lands, of course, we're going to have like an Amazon rainforest type of thing, and that's going to extend between both parks, and that's going to go into the Aqua Park a little bit as well. Same with the Land of the Dead. I want to integrate these parks and these areas a little bit and as much as possible without having the guests interfering with each other, simply because of course it will be separate ticketing, and this is a Disney park, so they do like money. Making some road barriers here just to add a little bit of immersion there. We've used a basic fence, then recolored that into grey, add a little bit of metal on the side as well, and some poles just to keep it that sort of a rounded look there a little bit. Road's got a slight, ever so slight curvature to it. The main road does, so we need to make sure that our pillars do that as well. And we're just finishing off with some street lanterns here, again in that beautiful government grey colour really that they do like. We'll sink that in a little bit just to make sure that it doesn't stick out too much and it looks quite nice. We're going to place them all around at regular intervals to make sure this road is very well lit. Now we're going to add in some extras here to the tunnel, make sure that the entrance looks good, looks grand, and this is where Planet Coaster 2 is phenomenal with a scaling tool. We're going to use that here to just expand the tunnel a little bit. There we go. And make sure it looks a little bit bigger. It just looks really nice for the facade of the tunnel. We're going to add in a little bit of artwork there as well. And there we go. We just copy and paste that over to the other side and scoot that into place. Make sure that all lines up quite nicely, and that does look really nice, and that's something you often see in tunnels, just that little bit of extra work. Just have to scale this one up a little bit ever so slightly to make it fit perfectly. We're going for a column base now. I'm actually going to keep using the default colors here. I think they work really well. I think it's something that you might see at a new sort of park here in Rio de Janeiro. We're going to be a little bit artsy here. Some people will probably call this modern art. There we go. So we're going to use this pillar there just to make sure that it looks good. It extends out from the marble dome there, make it a little bit lighter, and then we've got this sort of pattern up the top. It almost looks from Cars, the movie Cars. It looks a little bit from that, something you would see in Radiator Springs, really. We've done that times 3 because obviously this is a high budget road. As I mentioned earlier, we're adding in some buses, recoloring them a little bit, loads of buses, because that's what we have in this game, and it just sells that immersion really well. You'll see that in the cinematics of the tunnel going along. Sunk some bushes there into the ground just to give the grass around there a little bit of 3D texture. Looked very nice, because obviously it won't be perfectly maintained. It's right next to a road, so therefore a few little bits of grass sticking out there. Just one road sign there for the exit, which will basically say where you're going into, and it reduces the speed of the motorway to 80 kilometers an hour for the tunnel. Also got the name of the tunnel and the direction that you are traveling in as well. Fun enough, it's interesting that I recolored this framework to white, slightly grey. I think I kept it this way as well. It's just slightly different. It's slightly different than the billboards. The idea really is that this is government owned, and I believe I was working off of a real picture from a motorway in Rio de Janeiro, and the signs looked similar to that as well. Now let's have a look at the cinematics here. There we go. There it is, our beautiful entrance area. We can see the 3 billboards there. I've gone for a little bit of curb in the middle with a extra fence there as well, just to split it up. We can see the concept art. Here we've got our pirate port, which is going to come in, and then there is our Coco Land of the Dead with a little resort logo at the very bottom. If we pan our way round, there is the entrance, and it all turned out really, really well. I thank you very much for watching this episode. I really do hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below what you'd like to see next. Please like, subscribe and comment, and I will see you next time. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.